Hi, my name is Leana Taing. I'm a Deputy County Counsel for the Office of County Counsel in Los Angeles County. I'm the first in my family to go to law school and also the first in my family to become an attorney. I became interested in going into the law at an early age when I witnessed the mass deportations of Cambodian refugees in my local community of Stockton. I saw firsthand how the individuals who were facing deportation were confused, scared, and felt a sense of hopelessness about the entire process. They didn't know what was going on. They didn't know any attorneys that they could turn to, that they trusted, that they could afford. And I realized in that moment that the law is a tool of the powerful. And I felt that it was an injustice and a sense of unfairness about the entire process. And I really wanted to become a community attorney where I would advocate for the community that I had grown up in and also represent individuals who would feel a sense of belonging, knowing that I had grown up in that community as well. And I had very similar interests and their interests at heart. And so that's why I became an attorney. Some of the obstacles that I faced, I think, were very early on in the process. I think the most important obstacle was not knowing how to navigate the entire process of getting into law school, surviving law school, and what to do after you were there. So what to do after you graduated law school and how you were going to enter the profession. I was very lucky in that I had, I think, a very great support system. I had, I joined student groups. I was part of a lot of diversity pipeline programs that were invested in me and ensuring that I succeeded. One of those diversity programs was UCLA Law Fellows Program. So I ended up going to UCLA Law, and the individuals in that program really helped provide emotional and material support through my time at law school. As I also mentioned, I also joined student groups and I became active in the local bar organizations, specifically Asian Pacific American Women Lawyers Alliance. I'm still active in that organization now as a board of governor. But during my time as a law student, I met mentors who were practicing attorneys and judges who spent time to meet me for coffee, for lunch, for dinner, and answered any and all of my questions I had about the law school process. And I think helped me overcome the self-doubt that I had about whether or not I had made the right choice going into law, whether I had made the right choice going to law school. And they really, I think, brushed those doubts away and fully supported my, I think, journey from law student to now practicing attorney. And they're still in my life now, today, as mentors, giving me life advice. I'm trying not to be cheesy, but I really think my sense of justice and my desire to do good by the community and to use my legal skills for good really inspires me to be the type of attorney that I am today. I would say that I am a public interest attorney. I'm that has been what I wanted to be since I entered law school. That I advocate for the public interest and I work for the community. And it's something that I still do now today, even working for the government. Um, Another reason or inspiration for the type of attorney that I want to be would be the many mentors I've had throughout my legal career, including, I think, Mia Yamamoto, who is a personal hero of mine, who's demonstrated what it means to zealously advocate for your clients to zealously advocate for your beliefs and the community, and to not only be a lawyer, but to be an activist. And that's the person that I always think of when I'm in a position of what should I do. I think to myself, what would Mia Yamamoto do? So I'm embarrassed to admit that I used to think my background and experience were disadvantages as a practicing attorney. And that was completely wrong. My background and experience as a daughter of Cambodian genocide survivors, someone who grew up in a multiracial and multi-ethnic city in California, someone who didn't know lawyers or judges when she embarked on her legal journey, and someone who really struggled with getting into law school, graduating, even struggled with the bar examination. These are all, I think, reflections of the life that I've lived and the experiences that I have. But more importantly, those experiences influence the way that you see how law impacts an individual or a community. And because of that perspective, unique perspective that I have, I get to communicate that information to the court and to my colleagues about how I'm seeing the world and how I'm seeing how the law is being applied, and how it is impacting people. Because I think a majority of my colleagues have a very different experience, whether their educational background or their upbringing, they bring that into the courtroom. And so that, I think, in the past, their reality of the world impacts how the law was being used and utilized. And maybe other perspectives weren't being considered because they weren't in the courtroom. And I think that's why it is so important for us to bring our perspectives to the law, and to share and communicate those perspectives, because it impacts real people and real lives. My advice to students who are considering the law, I strongly encourage you to just do it, to apply to law school and to embark on your legal journey. And I say this because, as a follow-up, is that we need you here. We need a diverse body of lawyers, of judges, of individuals who can shape and influence and impact the world we live in particular, the legal system. It is, I think, of such importance, and it impacts our lives in so many different ways in society. I can't imagine anything that we do that law is not related to it. So I invite you to join us here, whether it's here in California or elsewhere, to start that journey and to become a lawyer. And I think to help us bring your perspective into the courtroom and into the law. Thank you.